Today, we're diving into a really fascinating medical story. It's about a revolutionary surgery that, on the surface, looked like a total game changer. Safer, easier, just a clear win for everybody. But as we're about to see, the real story, the one that took more than a decade to unfold, well, it's a whole lot more complicated. And that question right there, that's really the heart of it all. What happens when the short-term benefits of a new technology are so obvious, so dramatic, that they might actually hide a different reality, one that only reveals itself over time? This is a story about that exact problem. And at the center of this story is this piece of tech, the endograft. It's basically a stent covered in fabric, and it was designed to completely change everything. But, to really get its impact, we first have to understand the incredibly dangerous problem it was invented to solve.
Yeah, we're talking about a condition that's often called a silent killer, and for good reason. It can grow for years without a single symptom, right up until the moment it all goes horribly wrong. This is an abdominal aortic aneurysm, or AAA for short. So your aorta is the biggest blood vessel in your body, right? It's the main highway for blood coming from your heart. An aneurysm is when a part of that wall gets weak and starts to bulge out, kind of like a bubble forming on an old tire or, a high-pressure garden hose. If that bubble bursts, the result is massive, catastrophic internal bleeding. So for a really long time, fixing this meant one thing, a massive operation. But then a new, much less invasive option appeared, and suddenly patients and doctors had two very, very different paths to choose from. And this slide just lays out how fundamentally different these two approaches are. On the one hand, you've got the classic open repair. We're talking major surgery here. A big incision in the abdomen, clamping off the body's main artery, and literally cutting out the bad section to sew in a new one. It's replacing a section of the hose. But then you have the new kid on the block, EVAR, or Endovascular Aneurysm Repair. This is minimally invasive. They snake that endograft up through small cuts in your groin, and it opens up inside the aneurysm, basically relining the hose from the inside. It takes all the pressure off that weak outer wall. And wow, this really shows you the difference. I mean, on the left, that's the reality of open surgery. It's a huge deal. On the right, you see the elegant engineering of EVAR. Just looking at these two, the choice seems like a no-brainer, right? Less invasive, faster recovery. The medical world definitely thought so too. And sure enough, when the first big studies comparing the two procedures were published, the data seemed to confirm what everybody already suspected. EVAR looked like it was, without a doubt, the winner. Just take a look at this. This chart shows the risk of dying within 30 days of the surgery based on 3 huge clinical trials. And in every single one, the risk was way lower with EVAR. We're talking about a drop from about 4.6% with open repair all the way down to just 1.2% with EVAR. This was a massive, life-saving difference, and it caused a huge shift in how doctors treated these aneurysms. But that was only chapter 1. You see, researchers kept following these same patients for years and years, and as time went on, the data started to tell a much, much more complicated story. Because that huge early survival advantage, it started to shrink. And new problems that nobody really saw coming, started to creep in. This table really breaks down the long-term findings from those same big trials. First, look at the column for overall survival. After 8 years in one trial, 6 in another, 11 in the last, the difference basically disappears. The survival rates become pretty much the same. But now, look at that last column, secondary procedures. Across the board, patients who got EVAR needed way more follow-up surgeries and interventions down the line. And just how many more? Well, this number is just staggering. One of the biggest trials found that between 6 months and 4 years after the first surgery, EVAR patients were 6 times more likely to need another operation to fix something. Suddenly, that elegant, simple solution wasn't looking so simple anymore. And this is the most sobering discovery of all. After 8 years, the very thing EVAR was designed to prevent, dying from the aneurysm, actually started to trend back up in the EVAR group. The long-term complications were so frequent that they started to wipe out and even reverse that incredible early survival benefit. So what's going on? Why all these long-term problems? Well, one of the main theories comes down to something called arterial stiffness. See, your aorta is naturally pretty flexible. It expands with each heartbeat. But when you put a relatively stiff metal and fabric graft inside it, it changes the whole system's dynamics.
Research suggests this makes the arteries stiffer overall, forcing the heart to work harder, beat after beat. And over many, many years, that extra strain can cause serious heart problems. So now you have this really complex picture, right? A short-term win, but a long-term cost. You might think that with all this data, the experts would all agree on the best way forward, but you'd be wrong.
The medical community is actually split on this. Over in the UK, the National NICE guidelines looked at all the long-term data and now recommend the old-school open repair as the best option for most patients. But in Europe and the US, major surgical societies still recommend EVAR as a first choice. It just goes to show how hard it is to weigh those early, dramatic benefits against risks that might not show up for years.
And all of this data, all of this debate, it really all points to one crystal clear conclusion. There is no single best answer that works for everybody. The decision has to be deeply personal.
Let's just break it all down. EVAR, without a doubt, gives you a better shot at surviving the initial surgery and a much, much faster recovery. That's a huge deal, but it comes with a trade-off, a lifetime of checkups, and a much higher chance of needing more surgeries later on. And over the really long haul, the survival rates for both procedures end up looking pretty much the same. So the best choice? It really depends on the person, their age, their health, the shape of their aneurysm. Ultimately, the story of EVAR is just a powerful lesson in how we think about success when it comes to medical tech.
And that leaves us with this final question to think about. In a world that's innovating so fast, when we call something a breakthrough, what should our time frame be? Do we measure success by the first 30 days, where the wins can be so clear and so exciting? Or do we need the patience to wait for the long, complicated, and often surprising story that only decades can really tell?